Hello, bonjour, and welcome to your new LT1 Exchange video. Welcome to the channel where we taste together, we explore and explain the wonderful world of wine. This is our 5th episode dedicated to the wines from Italy and part number 2 of our mini-series dedicated to the Italian white wines in particular. In our last episode we looked at the wines made in the north of Italy, which are in large numbers and often made in quantities. And today we're continuing our tour of Italy, our Giro d'Italia, looking at white wines, or Vini Bianci as the Italians would say, made in central and southern Italy, because yes, the Italian boot makes more reds than whites, that's true, especially the further south you go, but they do make some delicious whites as well, worth paying some attention to in every region, because yes, Italy is diverse as you know, and there's surprises and delights absolutely everywhere you look. So let's have a look into some of the main styles there that you should definitely know about. Let's go. If you remember, in our last episode we looked at white wines from Veneto, Piedmont, Friuli, Trentino, Alto Adige, the whole north of the country. So we've covered some of Italy's most classic and reputable whites, such as Pinot Grigio, Roero Arnese, Soave, Ogavi, all of those prestigious white wine appellations. Those really are some of the most iconic whites in Italy that you definitely must know. That's why they did deserve a separate episode of their own, because in short, northern Italy is cooler and really makes some outstanding whites. But further south we are clearly more in red wine territory, but it's not to say that you don't find more sporadically, that's probably true, but some fascinating and just as classic and reputable white styles as well. Let's start with Tuscany. As we know, Tuscany is the land of Chianti and Super Tuscans, and we will cover those in more detail very soon on the channel, so make sure to stay tuned for this and subscribe. But Tuscany also makes some great white wines. Most producers will and do make a little white wine maybe on the side to complete their range and have a broader offering for tourists and whoever buys their wines. And a lot of people do that, and some of those whites can be actually delicious, but I can't quote every single producer. If there's one name in Tuscany to know about, that's Vernaccia di San Gimignano, which is a DOCG appellation, so the highest level in the Italian wine classification system, a very classic historic style made around this incredible, beautiful, historic city. I've been there, it's stunning. That is called San Gimignano. That is just next to the Chianti area, so we're inland in Tuscany, in the hilly part of the region. There are different grapes called Vernaccia that you find everywhere in Italy, including of course in Tuscany. A couple of notable styles in Tuscany worth having in mind. Not many people know about them, but you want to know it all, right? Or learn more about them. Well, those are anecdotal, but they come from such prestigious red wine appellations that you might want to try them too. And that's Bolgheri Bianco. That's the home, of course, of some of the best and most expensive coastal Super Tuscan wines, Ornellaia, Sassicaia and the likes. Those are made from Trebbiano Toscano, Vermentino and Sauvignon Blanc, often in a rather rich and opulent style of white wine. You might also want to investigate the Moscadello di Montalcino. Those are dry whites made from muscat, around the famed Montalcino village in southern Tuscany, home of the Brunello di Montalcino. Delicious, loads of white wines to explore in Tuscany, so please do so. Much like in Tuscany, there are many individual, more or less important spots making good white wines everywhere in central Italy, even if those are not necessarily the biggest and most famous names when it comes to wine in the country. Those are for the really curious Italian wine connoisseurs who want to go deeper into the local culture and knowledge. But let's mention some of the most notable and interesting names from those main areas and regions in central Italy. So first, let's mention wines from Verdicchio in the Marche region, directly opposite of Tuscany, or on the other side of the Italian boot on the Adriatic coast. Those are made from the typically Italian Verdicchio grape. They are really fascinating, interesting white wines. They're dry and they combine some fruitiness. They can have a bit of a kiwi fruit, a bit of citrus, some grassy characters as well. So they can be quite playful yet crisp and refreshing. You'll have some classical versions, which always indicates versions that are more rooted in the local terroir, and you'll also have some Riserva Superiore for more superior perhaps and more concentrated expressions of the grapes. Let's also mention still in Marche the Castelli di Gesi appellation, also made from Verdicchio grape. Also in Marche are made wines from the rediscovered Pecorino grape, somewhat the Italian Sauvignon Blanc. Just a little south of Marche, still on the coast of the Adriatic Sea, is made the Trebbiano d'Abruzzo, a classic, very classic white style from this Abruzzo region that you've probably heard about from its famous Montepulciano d'Abruzzo red wine. Well, they also make a popular white wine here from the Trebbiano, aka Uniblanc grape. In all fairness, because this grape is fairly neutral, the wines are fairly neutral as well, but they're crisp and dry and refreshing and delicately citrusy and lemony and not uninteresting. If there's one region in the center and the south of Italy that is in fact more famed for its whites than its reds, but not many people know about this in fact outside of Italy, it's that region surrounding Rome itself that is called the Lazio. Lazio is famed for its white wines indeed, a lot of which are drunk locally in the big city, and that's why you've probably or possibly never heard about them. The big name here in particular is Frascati, an absolutely historic appellation. We're in Rome's garden after all, so everything is a bit historic over there, right? Those wines are made from Malvasia and Trebbiano, again crisp yet somewhat fruity and playful whites, a classic in Rome. Still in central Italy is the region of Umbria, and its most famous white wines coming under the appellation of Orvieto, an area that has a rather rare limestone terroir called tuffo, how the Italians call it, that is named after the French tuffo stone found in the Loire Valley, the same white limestone rock that was used to build the French king's castles in the Loire. They have a similar soil there in Umbria, somewhat like in Champagne as well, so very chalky and mineral, and so are the wines. Precise, mineral, a must-try classic Italian wine style. Quite famous this one, Orvieto. Finally, let's go to the even sunnier and tastier south of Italy, around Naples, Campania and Sicily. Perhaps indeed there is less white wine made in the south of Italy than in the rest of the country. Less for sure than in the very north, as we've seen, but possibly this isn't true if you compare it to central regions we've just talked about. So sure, the region of Puglia in the heel of the Italian boot is known for its generous Primitivo red wines in particular, that's Zinfandel's cousin. This part is perhaps a little too hot, generally speaking, for whites, with the quite rare exception of this fairly neutral white wine that is made from the Verdecca grape. This is rather rare and anecdotal, obscure, but I wanted you to know about it. But take the cases of both the regions of Campania around Naples and of Sicily, and there you will find plenty of white wines to taste and explore. Campania, possibly because of the dynamic gastronomy in touristic areas such as Naples City, Capri or the Amalfi Coast and other local coastal touristic destinations. Campania makes a lot of crisp white wines that are needed and perfect to go with the local seafood dishes. You need white wine to go with your seafood, so they make some. Here there are loads of coastal breezes which give whites that are refreshing and saline, mainly from the Greco di Tufo and the Falanghina grapes. Loads of very reputable and interesting crisp mineral wines in appellations such as Fiano di Avellino, Falerno del Masico, Lacrima Christi del Vesuvio, that one is made near the Vesuvio volcano, and the Costa d'Amalfi DOC. Finally, in Sicily, including its Etna volcano, is certainly renowned for its reds, but anyone who's ever set foot on the island would know that there's always plenty of local white wine choices to go with the local seafood when you order at a restaurant. We're on an island after all. So grapes in Sicily are mainly Catarratto, Grillo as well, or an Inzolia and Chardonnay blend. Again, those are zingy, they're citrusy, they're refreshing mineral styles overall, if only a little richer and oilier in body and in alcohol than in other parts of the country because it's a little warmer. We're very much in the south here. A wonderful example that you wouldn't want to miss out on exploring and enjoying and tasting, and that's the Etna Bianco, the whites made on the slopes of the Etna volcano. Yes, often very active Etna volcano. The dark volcanic soils and the rather exposed vineyards with all the cooling Mediterranean winds deliver very interesting mineral and pithy white wines. As always in Italy, and I think we've demonstrated it here very well with the huge variety of white wines found everywhere around the country, the Italian diversity when it comes to wine, the regional specificities, the unique local grapes make for endless wine discoveries and surprises. On those final thoughts, I'll leave it here for today. After exploring the sparklings and the white wines of Italy, next, continuing with our series, we'll dig into the red Vino Italiano very shortly, the Barolos, the Barbarescos, the Tuscans, and every other famous illustrious name when it comes to reds. So make sure to stay tuned to the channel for this, and feel free to catch up on previous episodes of the series if you haven't watched them all yet. I will see you soon in the wonderful world of wine. Salute! Ciao ciao, arrivederci.